Welcome to Living Beyond the Invisible, the podcast that explores life with invisible disabilities. I'm your host, Heather, and today we are going to discuss a topic that affects so many people but is rarely talked about, and that is osteoarthritis. Welcome back, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here with me for this episode of Living Beyond the Invisible. For those of you who have been following this journey from the beginning, you know that osteoarthritis is something that I personally have experience with. It is something that has affected me since I was in my early 30s. So let's break it down, explore the numbers, and talk about what living with this condition really means. First, let's talk about what osteoarthritis or OA actually is. OA is the most common form of arthritis, affecting millions of people worldwide. It occurs when the protective cartilage that cushions the ends of bones in your joints wears down over time. This can lead to pain, stiffness, and loss of movement in the joints. The joints most commonly affected by osteoarthritis are those in the hands, knees, hips, and spine. And I know you're going to ask, but mine is in my spine, my lumbar spine to be specific. Now, while it's often seen as a condition that only affects older adults, osteoarthritis can actually develop in younger people, especially those with joint injuries or genetic predispositions. Mine is thought to be from a car accident I had at 19 and a tumble down the stairs I had a few years later, thanks to my kitten who decided to run right between my legs as I was going down the basement steps. Cats are buttholes sometimes, aren't they? But we love them anyway, and no, I was not mad at the poor kitten. It wasn't her fault. We now know what OA is, so let's dive into some statistics to understand the impact of it. As of 2019, there were an estimated 528 million people living with OA globally, according to the Global Burden of Disease study. In the United States alone, OA affects approximately 32.5 million adults. That means roughly 1 in 10 Americans are living with it. As I mentioned earlier, age is also a significant risk factor. About 50% of adults age 65 and older have been diagnosed with a form of arthritis, with osteoarthritis being the most common type. The risk of developing OA increases as we age, but again, younger people can be diagnosed with it as well. Like many other invisible disabilities, women are more likely to develop osteoarthritis than men, particularly after the age of 50. This is likely linked to the hormonal changes that happen in women as they age, especially post-menopause, which may affect the cartilage. Another thing is the economic impact that OA causes is also considerable. In the U.S., osteoarthritis leads to over $1 billion in annual healthcare costs, including surgeries, medications, and lost productivity. It can truly be very costly. With those statistics, you're probably wondering, what does living with osteoarthritis look like? For many, the pain and stiffness can be debilitating, making even simple tasks like walking, climbing stairs, or opening jars a challenge. People with severe OA might struggle to work or maintain an active lifestyle, which can lead to feelings of isolation and frustration. One thing that is important to note is that the severity of osteoarthritis can vary greatly from person to person. Some people experience mild symptoms that they can manage with lifestyle changes and over-the-counter pain relievers. Others might have more severe symptoms that require prescription medications, physical therapy, or even surgery such as joint replacement. For me, it definitely takes a toll. Right now, my OA is mild, but even though it is mild, it causes a lot of crazy issues for me. About a month ago, I started having shooting pains that go into my hip and down my legs, mostly my right side, but occasionally my left side as well. When this happens, my legs will just go out, usually causing me to lose my balance and fall. So a few weeks ago, I went to see my nurse practitioner. She did x-rays of my back and decided it would be best to send me to a physiatrist. A physiatrist is a doctor who specializes in pain management and rehab. Unfortunately, when I saw this doctor, we didn't get anything figured out because he found that my scoliosis is way worse than I ever even knew. But that will be a completely different episode. For now, we're just trying to find what will work to help manage my lower back pain. And spoiler alert, there isn't much. Managing osteoarthritis often involves a combination of approaches. Here are a couple that someone may use. Exercise. Regular physical activity is crucial in managing OA, but they need to be low-impact exercises such as swimming, cycling, or walking. These exercises can help maintain joint function and reduce pain. Weight management. Managing a healthy weight can reduce stress on the joints, particularly the knees and the hips. Medications. Over-the-counter pain relievers like Tylenol or ibuprofen are often used to manage symptoms. In more severe cases, doctors might prescribe stronger medications or recommend corticosteroid injections, though stronger medications are usually not recommended because they can be very addictive. Physical therapy. A physical therapist can help design an exercise program tailored to your needs, which can help improve strength and flexibility. They will also include specific exercises that will be tailored to your specific area of OA as well. And finally, we have surgery. In cases where osteoarthritis severely limits mobility or causes intense pain, joint replacement surgery might be an option. But this is usually done as a very last resort once all other options have been exhausted. For me personally, I use Tylenol and ibuprofen along with my hot tub to manage mine. Yes, my hot tub is generally my best friend when it comes to managing my pain levels. I also walk as much as possible. With my other health issues, though, it's hard to really exercise, but I do my best. I also try to stay on a healthy diet, but with grocery prices being as expensive as they are, and food that is good for you even more expensive, it's hard. I do try to eat as much fruits, vegetables, and protein-rich foods that I can and that I can afford, and those are full of the nutrients that I need. Also, managing and losing weight is very hard for people with invisible disabilities. So I will do a completely different episode on that topic in the future because I think it's an important one. Moving on, living with osteoarthritis can be challenging for sure, but it's important to always remember that you are not alone. I am here with you. Wait. Sorry, this isn't Free Willy, and I'm not MJ. If you know, you know. Anyway, with proper management, many people with OA lead full active lives. Now, I do have a listener story to share with you about OA, so you're not just taking my perspective for it. This comes from Lindsay from Montana, and Lindsay writes, "Hello, my name is Lindsay, and I've been living with osteoarthritis for about a decade now. It all started with a dull ache in my hips, but I just brushed it off and thought it was because I was getting older, even though I was only 35. Here I was in my mid-30s, very active, ate a balanced diet, and always on the go. At that point, I could have never dreamed that just 10 years later, just simply taking a step would be such a challenge. In the beginning, it was just a bit of an annoyance, just some stiffness in the morning or after sitting for longer periods of time. But slowly, over time, the pain became worse and more persistent, which made doing anything that much harder. Everyday tasks were becoming more and more difficult as time went on. Climbing the stairs became unbearable. Even standing for more than 5 minutes was starting to become too much. I was avoiding activities I normally loved to do, like hiking or playing softball with my kids, because of the pain. When I finally got the diagnosis of osteoarthritis, it was both a bit of a relief that I finally had a reason for everything, but also a burden because of the realization that this was something that I would not only have to live with for the rest of my life, but also that it would just continue to worsen over time. My kids were still young, and this diagnosis meant that I would miss out on so much with them. Things that we used to love to do together. Thankfully, they were old enough to understand what was going on, even though it was hard. And my husband has been very supportive from day one. I'm really lucky there. It was still a hard pill to swallow, though, and I still struggle with coping with it every single day. Living with osteoarthritis is something that not only takes a toll physically, but mentally and socially as well. I find myself constantly turning down invites for things I used to love going to because now it's just too much on my body. The pain is just too difficult. I had to give up my career in nursing that I loved because I could no longer function enough to do my job. I now work from home through a call center. I don't feel like it's my calling in life, but it helps pay the bills and still allows me to be part of the medical field, so I deal with it for now. As for managing my osteoarthritis, right now I am just taking it one day at a time. I take ibuprofen for the pain and use an arthritis cream to rub on my hips. They help a little bit, but eventually I will probably have to have both hips replaced. We're trying to hold off on that for now because insurance says I'm too young and my hips aren't bad enough for a replacement. So I continue just to push forward and do my best to take it day by day. Hopefully, insurance will cave and we can figure out a way to get me some new hips or do something because honestly, this is getting to be too much. But thank you for letting me share my story, and I appreciate everything you are doing to help those of us with invisible disabilities. I will continue to listen, so I continue to just push forward and do my best to take it day by day. Thank you for letting me share my story. I am so thankful that I found your podcast and your TikTok. I am excited to see where you go with this and how you grow. Thank you for starting a community for those of us that feel like we have nobody. So that was Lindsay's story. Thank you, Lindsay, for allowing me to share a little bit about you and how you're living with OA. And don't forget, if you have a story, please write in and let me know. Our email will be in the show notes. Remember, osteoarthritis is a chronic condition, but it's not the end of your story. With the right tools and support, you can continue to live a life that's rich and fulfilling. That wraps up today's episode of Living Beyond the Invisible. I hope this discussion on osteoarthritis has shed some light on what it's like to live with this condition and how it can be managed. If you or someone you know is living with OA, remember that there are resources and communities out there to help. Please reach out to me, and I'm always happy to help guide you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Living Beyond the Invisible. I hope you found the insights and stories shared today helpful and inspiring. Remember, living with an invisible disability is a journey, and together we can navigate the challenges and celebrate the triumphs. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your support helps me reach more listeners and build a stronger community. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Living Beyond the Invisible for updates and additional resources. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep living beyond the invisible.